Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. It is I, the mayor of Flobo Boys, hanging with people who are doing the dang thing. Now, when New Amsterdam was founded, I thought a bit of being a whole city of creatives and those out there just making it happen week in and week out. And my guest today does this as well. Please welcome, can I say S tier, SS tier model, Amy Taylor to the show? What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I am doing well, but obviously not as well as you are. How is 2024 treating you?
So far, so good. I mean, the weather's finally getting nice out here in New York City, which is welcome. Winter struggle was no fun. I left a lot, but not enough, maybe. And so it's good. It's breathlessly exciting. New York continues to come back every month more from the COVID years, and life could be a lot worse. So I'm lucky.
Well, we were talking about this before we went live. As a Brooklyn native, I have left that town because of wintertime. So I only visit in the summer or in the fall, but it's always cool to see a little bit of New York of its old ways coming back to what it was. So that's what's up.
Yeah. Brooklyn's awesome, but the cold weather, I mean, you have made a smarter decision, sir, and I will probably return to better weather soon.
Yeah.
But, Brooklyn's, I mean, the food alone is like heaven in Brooklyn. It's
definitely. It definitely is.
It's the coolest part of New York for sure.
Well, as somebody who is an admittedly hard 5 out of 10, I have to ask you a question. Modeling is something very based on visual. So what was the first time you said, you know what? I'm putting myself in that race. I want to be a model as well.
I don't even know that I wanted to. I was 14 and it was a pretty typical story. A guy at a mall who, could have been a creep, but I got lucky. He wasn't. He scouted. I was with my father and this guy who owned a small studio and a small agency, because this is Northern California at the time. It's not, London or Paris or Rome but he suggested that I be photographed because I was a pretty little girl, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Of course, my father was like, went to the shoot and made sure this was all above board. And it was. This dude was not a creep. He was a real agent, had a real bunch of models. It was a business. And I did some test shoots. They worked out. I was comfortable in front of the camera. I ended up doing like clothing tags and local runway shows, like in the mall and in the department stores. And then I didn't keep growing. Everyone in my family is quite tall except for me. So runway started to not be a possibility because I didn't end up tall. I don't know what happened.
Can I ask how tall are you? What's considered not tall?
I'm 5'6" barefoot. So, in heels, I can be 5'11", but my whole family is very tall and something went wrong here. Oh, well.
I'm the opposite. I tower over my family. They're all like 5'3" and 4", and I'm like 6 foot going, where's the Cheetos?
Oh, I'm so jealous. Being tall is a life hack. People like tall. But so, and then I did a pageant, which was super douchey, but hey, I liked being around the creative process. Skill-wise, I was more talented at math and science, like in high school and then college. I was kind of a left brain type, still am, but I think I coveted being around the right brain types precisely because I have no skill and I'm not good at makeup and hair and outfit planning and photography or videography. And I think it was a world by which I was fascinated. So being on set was fun. Seeing the final product was fun. What girl doesn't like playing dress up? And then I have a conventionally nice shaped body. No particular part is perfect, but it all got put together pretty nicely. So it was available to me. I think you just kind of, sometimes you don't chase stuff. It just happens to you.
Sure. Yeah. That seems to be a common trend on the show. A lot of times your path chooses you, or you decide to fall into it. But can I ask about specifically after you were asked to audition at that mall when you were 14, was it like a, heck yeah, let's try this, that you had to convince the fam? Because you're right. That probably wouldn't have flown today, just hanging out. Well, what's a mall, right? But hanging out in the shopping area being like, hey, we'll give you a chance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was interested because, when you're a teenager, makeup, hair, pretty pictures, sure. And like I said, my father was very skeptical, but stayed around a long time in the beginning. But then there were a lot of opportunities, like even little stuff like junior league fashion shows. They need kids and adults to walk down the runway. And my father was and is quite good looking. He had actually done some modeling in Paris as a youth for photographers. So
Oh, wow.
that had happened to him too, just because he was good looking. So yeah, I thought it was fun, and I'm a pretty curious person. I like to learn. I'm a professor's kid. If I was a billionaire, I'd probably just keep going back and getting more PhDs and different stuff. I think anything I don't know about is interesting to me. So when I didn't know about the modeling world much,
Right.
my grandmother was a pretty famous photographer. I knew a little bit about photography, had no skill in it, but I was just curious about it. And, doing it part-time in a small market like Northern California, it's not stopping you from going to school, or it didn't stop me later in LA from also having conventional jobs after graduate school. So it was always something that was ancillary on the side and that can be done. You live in LA, everyone's got a headshot, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Headshot or a guy who knows a guy can give you a headshot. That's for sure.
A script they want you to read and send to your buddies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I graduated grad school too, and I was like, well, I need a real job. You see that price tag, and you're like, no matter how creative I think I am, I better start looking for jobs at Enterprise Rent a Car for the time being. So
yeah, me too. I mean, I had to do other things because I perhaps was not a big enough model to, the few that really do well and can make it a massive career. I was never going to be Gigi Hadid or, anything like that. Most are not, right? Most actors are not, Denzel. So, and that's fine. But it was something that was available to me when I moved from Northern California after undergrad in the Bay Area. I moved to LA for graduate school, did my MBA. And why not do a little modeling? There's photo shoots happening all day, every day, everywhere there, and a little bit of money, a little bit of fun. Why not? Right? It's something to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So you got the reps in, and now well, this is pretty funny. I was perusing your social media. I'm looking at your Instagram right now, and the little bio just has 2 words, and that is Bond Girl. And I was like, what do you mean by that? But then I'm looking at these photographs. You are traveling the world with clients from all over the planet. What's that life like? It's like a bat phone in your apartment where you go, you know what? I'm gonna go fly out to Tripoli and handle this shoot.
Tripoli, haven't been there yet. That's still on the list.
The one place I mentioned.
some of it is work and some of it is personal. I don't really talk about what's what, because while I am on socials, everybody has to be now. I still struggle. I'm over 40 now. I still struggle with giving everything to the public. So
sure.
I'd be better at it if I was tagging every brand and every hotel and every city. I don't. I need to be visible, but I'm still not as comfortable as people who maybe grew up with this stuff. So everybody expects you to give their socials now, even restaurants and nightclubs and brands. So I do. But yes, I travel a lot, both for work and for my personal life, for my dating life. And I don't really delineate what's what on socials because I don't think it's every stranger's business totally.
Absolutely,
but I gotta post something.
It's funny you mentioned that, because you look at the story of like Angie's List, how it was like this list for like vendors for things, and then the marketing company was like, Angie, you need to put yourself on the TV channel on the commercial. So Angie herself was on it, and they said, forget that. Now Angie's disappeared. Now it's just called Angie. So I asked that question because a lot of entrepreneurs do struggle with that balance of how much of me or how much am I the brand, how much to put out there. What has been your experience? Have you experimented with more or less? Have you found that right balance?
When you're online, half the people love you a little too much, which is creepy because you're like, dude, I don't know you.
Right.
Some of them follow you for years and they know everything about you, and they're too nice to you. You're like, I'm not as good as you think I am. I'm just another idiot out there. And then the other half hate you. You get yelled at by men who, wish you'd cover up more. I don't know what they want. They want you to hate yourself like they hate themselves. I don't know. But I had somebody be like, you put your whole life out there. Your address is on your Twitter profile. I'm like, bitch, that's a PO box. Like, obviously that's not my home, dummy.
Right.
This is not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
And the publicists and the web people. Yeah. No, I mean, why would this guy think, but yeah, people just have opinions, and I haven't probably done it perfectly. I've made mistakes and removed things, of course, like anybody, but This is the new visibility. I'd love to not be on it, but you can't get work that if you don't exist on socials. So
Right.
this is the way reality is, for better or for worse. We'll see how it all ends up, right?
Do most of your clients see you through social first or your word of mouth? Like, what's been your approach to growth?
Yeah, they ask. So on all the like the scouting apps, like Model Management and oh my God, there's anyway,
Mayhem?
all the apps, they're not paying me, so I'm not going to rep them, but there's lots. They
I understand that. I get that.
and they ask you for tear sheets, and I can give them tear sheets of dozens of covers of major magazines, other stuff I've been in. Some of them, if they're like more than 2 or 3 years old, they're hard to find digitally anymore, but a lot of them are available by link. I've, of course, been sent PDF copies of them. I do some writing too. Like I've written for women's health and men's fitness and things because I like it. So I can send them articles I've written that accompany some of the photo spreads I've done. But yeah, they do typically want your socials. That's pretty normal. Because my socials are blended with my personal life, that might not be ideal. But I don't maintain multiple channels. I can't be bothered. So
Sure.
One social, if you're curious about me, there's work and there's personal, and it is what it is.
It's all life. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it works just fine. I think authenticity we all seek now, and I don't want everything to be too curated and perfect because I'm a human being.
Right.
I think it's more interesting.
Absolutely.
I could be wrong.
No, sometimes you go to like a store and like the cut of like food is like perfect, like almost like they do like a little like cookie cutter thing. And it kind of it's unappealing to look at, like where the rough edges, where this is. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's why I feel as well. So for me, I started off as a writer and I kind of rolled into content creation. And this podcast thing came from the pandemic. I was a comedian. They told me, hey, look, you're non-essential. You better stay in your house. And so I decided to bring a bit of levity when it comes to creatives and building like that. So it took me an idea of knowing what my path was, but the actual lane has changed all the time. So I got to ask you this. Has there been a moment where you said, is it time for a pivot? Did something go, you know what, I'm killing this, but I want to add to what I can do, what people see me as, what I can offer to clients? Or are you saying, look, I'm going to focus in and be really good at what I'm good at this moment?
Yeah, it pivots all the time. So, I mean, so you started in the pandemic. What technology did, the Zooms and all the others, was they made location not matter. There's still a few major shows that require you to be in person, but they limit themselves on guests, especially if they don't have budget to pay for people's travel. The best guests aren't going to fly there on their own dime. Some will, most won't. So they're limited. So all this technology has taken away the limitation of geography. You still have to meet at the same time. I'm assuming somebody's going to make that go away where we could talk but not be at the same time. But nobody's invented that yet, but they will. But what this has done, it allowed, you can appeal to anyone, anywhere as a customer. So can I. You can also have guests from anywhere now.
Right.
So yeah, we have virtual modeling photo shoots where the camera shutter is run by somebody who is not there. And that's the new way modeling that started. That was born out of the pandemic too, when people could not be on set legally.
Right.
So I've thought about doing a lot of that, but of course, as we've come out of the pandemic, a lot of people have gone back to in-person sets. So for now, I think that's still happening enough. In terms of stylistic of modeling, I'm over 40 now. I think it's really important to represent all shapes, sizes, ages, races. There's lots of beauty in the world. There's lots of customers in the world who want to see themselves. Yes, we all like a 14-year-old, 6 foot tall supermodel. They won the lottery. It's great. It's a happy accident of time and genetics. Super. But there are other forms of beauty, and I'm here for it. How we're seeing so much of that now in media. So yeah, I did a lot more like Playboy, Maxim, FHM covers when I was in my 20s and early 30s. Lately, L'Officiel's, Elle magazine, lots of different fashion stuff. They put they put more clothes on you as you get older, which is kind of nice. Um,
Right.
cover up that old lady.
I'll start in 10 years, what you're saying. Then I'll.
And
I'll-
then I enjoy broadcasting. I enjoy great conversations. I'm pretty extroverted. I like meeting people. I like smart people. I like writers. I like funny people. So that has become, since I moved to New York, there's been a lot of broadcast opportunities, and I'm enjoying that so far. I've been offered to do my own streaming show, and I don't think right now I want to do that. I can't commit to it. Still busy modeling and busy goofing off and misbehaving. So, but perhaps in my 50s, I might do something like that. We'll see.
Sure. What would that entail? Like just having hours on end, like a radio show, but streaming? Do you have to do like an outside thing where a live camera's with you? Like,
I mean, I haven't even the people from the giant media conglomerate that would like to talk about it. It's kind of shelved for now.
okay.
And I'm decided. I mean, I might retire to California and help take care of my aging parents and do none of this and just I mean, honestly, or I might stay here and just be like a crazy old lady on the Upper East Side with lots of little dogs, and like I just wear pearls to bed, and I'm just nuts. But that would entail more money than I have. But if something good happens and I end up real rich, that might be the goal. So I don't, they say man plans, God laughs.
Right. Absolutely.
I certainly didn't think life would end up the way it has for me. It's both good and bad, like all of us. I wanted to be a scientist, and then I became one and I hated it. And so then I went to grad school and pivoted. So yeah, long story short, I pivot a lot. I'm sure I'll continue to. And I have a bit of that Southern California, West Coast thing where I want to surf it. I want to stay dogged in my pursuit of learning, fun, and happiness, but flexible in my goal of exactly how I get there, right? It's like surfing.
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of little adjustments and you get there.
Yeah. Like having an aptitude for having aptitudes. Totally understand that.
Exactly.
Kind of that balance as well. We talked about before we went live and just now about what it means to, hate the word, but to be aging. Because I say this as the baby of my family. You think you're going to be the baby forever until you look in a mirror and you go, oh, wait, is that a gray hair in my chin? How's that changed for you? I know there's been conversations out there in the interwebs about accepting people of different shapes and sizes, but is that actually happening? Or is that just lip service, do you think?
I mean, I love aging. I hated being young. I wasn't smart. I hated being not stupid, but just not knowing stuff because you haven't been alive. So you're not wise. And you know it unless you're a ridiculous narcissist. I mean, you know that you don't know stuff, and that was scary. And I did not enjoy it. I liked the higher metabolism, how you could eat junk and drink alcohol and you woke up feeling great every morning. Now, if I have 4 drinks in a long night, I'm assed out for like 3 days. So you have to take better care of yourself when you get older. Some of that's good. A lot of it's not. But on the whole, I like aging. I like having some gray hairs. It means I didn't die. I made it.
Clap it up.
I did not enjoy being a young woman because of the predatory nature of a lot of men. I didn't enjoy being followed home. I didn't enjoy, I still get hit on 100 times a day. Not all men want a 21-year-old. Yeah, many do, but a lot of them don't. But they're so much more respectful now. That could also be the times. It's a couple decades later and the world has made baby steps. But I think some of it is that I'm older and predatory men are now terrified of me and unattracted to me, which is a win.
Oh, no. I guess so, but that's a weird win.
If you're craving years past, then you're not doing anything with your time now.
Sure.
I think there's so much good that can happen at every age. Yeah, I'm not going to be an Olympic gymnast at this age. You have to be realistic.
Right.
But there's so much else you can do once you get older and wiser. And young people, yeah, they have tighter skin and thicker hair, but that's all they have. They are often a combination of 2 very bad things. They are not smart and they are overconfident.
Yeah.
Again, not always. But those are not things I want to be, is dumb and overconfident. I don't want to be that. And I was like most young people. So I like aging in terms of modeling. There are people who are angry that there are people over 21 that are modeling. Well, they're just going to have to cry more because there's a customer base that loves to see gray models. So, in this bifurcated media landscape, everyone likes to consume media that speaks to them more. And so there's these tiny markets of everything, and therefore everything is out there. And to want it not to be is a ridiculous attempt at control. One of the things you learn when you get a little older is that you cannot control other people. You can't.
True.
If you push too hard, they emigrate. My father's a refugee. People leave if there's too much control.
Deuces.
I mean, it's hard, and there can be catastrophe in the time that they're stuck somewhere, but people have a certain sense of self-directedness that is very hard to quash. And so aging in media or modeling is simply appealing to different markets and what they want to see. The market for old models may be a little smaller because there's an age pyramid. There's just fewer old people. But guess what? Older consumers have a lot more money. So, if you're selling Brunello Cucinelli clothing, you're not trying to be Walmart and get everybody, because they can't afford you and you are not for everybody. So that's perfectly fine to be something that isn't appealing to the largest number. It's called a niche, and there are lots of niches, and that's a good thing. It's not why people would be upset about a different niche that perhaps is uninteresting to them is beyond me. Fine, keep scrolling. Don't look at it. No one cares.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when it comes to like sizes and shapes, I feel like there's a different. People go, oh well, if you eat right, it won't happen to you. But Father Time gets us all, or Mother Nature, Father and Mother Nature, it doesn't matter. And so when things start to sag or things start to wrinkle, we feel like we're running out of time. I really think it's confronting that fear rather than the outright shunning. But it doesn't really matter if you're someone not getting a job because they're going in a younger direction. So, I mean, what did you do when that was happening? I mean, when that was shifting? I mean, that had to be rough the first couple of times.
You have to be realistic. Like Playboy, there's a lot of skin showing. They want it to require less touch-up. You're probably going to need to be a little younger. They have put some older women on Playboy, but it's rare, and those issues tend not to sell as well. So you do have to be realistic. In terms of the fear of death, that's the big fear of all of us. Of course, it's the great unknown. And yes, statistically, when you're older, you're probably closer to it. Although, hey, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. We don't know. But if you're playing the odds, and of course that's a big fear. But rather than deny it, the fact that I know I'm mortal impels me to have as much fun and do as much as I want to and can with the time I do have. So I think Buddhists, I'm going to get this wrong, but there is a religion where they tell you to ruminate on your impending death. Sounds weird and creepy, kind of is, but it is important to remember that none of us are here forever, because that makes you get off your behind and do something with your precious time here. It is also important to remember that we are all mortal. We will all age. We will all sag and wrinkle, although you can buy stuff now, but you're still going to, because it's liberating. When young people, nobody calls me ugly anymore. They used to call me ugly when I was young, like haters. Now,
really?
There's always haters. Most people,
there's always haters.
People call you beautiful, but 1 in 1,000. Of course, you remember those because they're mean. Now they never call me ugly, but they do. Sure, they say you're old, and okay, yeah, how riveting. I'm aware I'm older than you. When they're trying to make me like myself less because I am older than they are, I assume this is a person who feels inferior to me and is trying to make me feel bad about myself so that they can feel better.
Yeah.
To me, that's a person who's miserable for some reason that I can't help or fix. I don't know them.
Wow.
And because a happy person doesn't want other people to be upset.
Sure.
Right? Why you would send a stranger an email to be like, you're old, when, I know my birth date. And also it's such a weird thing to be angry at aging, because what's your plan? To not age? I mean, you're going to die young, or okay. I mean, and it's an odd thing to insult somebody over, because it cannot be changed. We will all do it. There's only one way not to age. I don't want to do that yet.
Right.
So I think there's some people who think, how dare a woman of a certain age still care about beauty? She should be a marm who goes and hides inside. Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that. So it's
We got
my life,
life to live.
and I don't really care what you'd like me to do. As long as I'm hurting nobody, and they still hire me. And there are people who are not ageist. It's hard for some people to have enough empathy to realize that other people think differently from them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some people are very, I have met people who miss their youth a lot. For some people, maybe those were their best years, or they miss whatever was going on then. Like former athletes maybe sometimes miss being an athlete because it's sometimes really fun.
Right.
I maybe in my 70s and 80s, I'll miss getting told I'm beautiful out on the street a lot. I don't know. I look forward to my old crone years and having little old lady friends, and
Wow.
well, it'll be a different chapter, right?
Yeah, yeah. A little brunch, going to brunch, playing canasta. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Canasta's rock. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's important to embrace every chapter. But being in your 40s is not, first of all, it's not that old. We live a lot longer than that now. It used to
Right.
be. And yeah, I think certainly I'm afraid of death. I think it'd be a lie to say I'm not, but I'm not. I am enjoying aging because for me, the teens and 20s were not my favorite time. So I guess if they had been, I'd miss them more.
Right. I feel there's always advantages to, like when I was in my 20s, I had an afro.
Did you?
I miss that afro, but
You did? Why?
I
You look great like, you look great like
I
this.
turned 21 and the hair was like, we out, bro. And I was like, so I went bald like before 25, and I was like, oh, I'm ugly and old.
Stop it. It's
But now
very
it works.
it's very genetic. And actually,
Yeah.
it's a good look. It's kind of like striking. Jason Statham, like it's a
Oh
good
yeah.
look. And like
Oh yeah.
it's a good shape. You don't have like a messed up shape, and it's nice and skin looks good.
Well, thank you so much. It took me years and years to get over that. But my 20s were like, oh my goodness, don't look at me. I'm Quasimodo or Phantom of the Opera or whatever. But you're right. Like we don't.
Your first indicators of aging. I remember my first gray hair. I was 28 and I was in Florida and I saw it. And yes, that's a bit surreal to realize that you too are going to age. You're not going to be immune to what happens to all of us. That
Right.
is sure. When it's right there in front of you, it's a bit surreal. That's true.
Sure. I mean, it's just how to breathe through it.
Well, but it's wonderful to be humbled, right? It's wonderful to be humbled. It's good for you because
Yeah, but
it helps you have empathy for other people.
true.
Because you're not perfect either. Yeah, you're mortal just like everyone else. And it's liberating. Every time you think something matters a lot and this bullshit you're worried about matters a lot, guess what? We're all going to be dead in a few decades. It doesn't matter that much. You're not that
Oh,
special.
absolutely. I mean, yes, saying I'm not special is definitely hard to hear the first time, but it's absolutely true. And that says I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take that trip. I'm gonna learn that breakdancing class or
Yes.
whatever your dream is. I don't know if you want to be a breakdancer.
I mean, I'm really bad at that, but I'll add it to the list. I mean, whatever you wanted, right? Like
Right.
and acting and broadcasting and all the things you do, like you throw it up all at the wall and some of it sticks, a lot of it doesn't. Who cares? Like
Who cares?
the Earth's going to fall into the sun, and we barely remember history's leaders. Nobody's going to remember me. No one cares about me, and that's awesome.
Right. No one cares about me, but that's awesome. Should be a t-shirt or at least a meme somewhere.
Yeah. And you might do some things that matter. A few people get really lucky and do, but I think, yeah, being the things that you cannot control, and certainly I try to look as best I can for whatever age I am. I spend a lot of time and effort and money on it. I do. There's some vanity, and it is my job to be photographed, so I try to look decent. But I'm not going to lie about reality because I find that kind of delusion is not helpful, right?
Sure.
It's not helpful to anybody. So
they say these line of work, the entrepreneur, the self-made stuff, it's a kind of a lonely path. Who do you confide in? Like, what's your team look like? You don't have to mention specific names, but like, how big's your team? Like, who are the person you can go to when you have a question or comment or just going through it?
Well, certainly in my creative pursuits, there's always a crew. Sometimes I can provide input in who I'd like who I know and trust, and they might, the editors or the publishers, or whoever's art director might hire that person. Sometimes it's a crew I've just met that day. I try not to butt in too much and give too much input, but I do know my angles. I do know how I look best. So in my creative pursuits, I bounce things off of the crew, either that day or the crew that I know well, to try to get things done so we can just get great shots, get great BTS video reels, sizzle reels, stuff like that, and then wrap and get out of there and go eat. Because that's what everybody wants to do, is get out of there and go eat.
Yeah. There's no sunrise shoots, you know?
Oh my God, especially if it's fitness, because I'm usually starving if it's fitness. And then in my other pursuits, like I like to fly planes. It's a team environment. The things I'm either with a student teaching or I have flown cargo and charter in the past, not right now, but it's a team environment. You're cooperating together to operate that plane so that you get the job done. The speech in the cockpit is reduced to what's necessary. We kind of have our own language, and we are on the box recording. So you want to be very efficient. In that world, there's a lot of standards, but there is sometimes some creativity, especially if all hell breaks loose, right?
Sure.
And in that world, if I'm the FO, I'm taking direction because I am not the one in charge. If it's a student and I'm the one in charge, then yeah, essentially I'm the boss to keep us alive, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
So, and then I think in my personal life, my sister is one of my closest friends. I'm so lucky. She doesn't approve of every choice I've made. My family does not like to see the Playboy covers. It's not nude anymore, folks. But
right.
Let's be honest, it's pretty close. There's close, but
yeah.
I mean, honestly, the fitness stuff has been almost as much flesh showing.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty close. But even though they don't love all the choices I've made, they love me. And that's a grace I don't deserve and can never repay. Yeah. And my sister she's a lobbyist in California, and she's such a badass. She's a wife and a mom and runs a business. She's amazing. She does all the things that I couldn't do correctly. And she is such a sounding board for my nonsense when I need it. And she's known, obviously she's known me literally my entire life. So right. There's no pretense. There's no nonsense. I can't lie to her because she knows me. So that's incredibly helpful to have in my corner. I'm so lucky. And neighbors and friends and, colleagues and,
Yeah. Here's a question we ask our guests, and there is no wrong answer. But do you consider yourself self-made? Why or why not?
Oh, that's such a good question. No. Definitely not.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to choose to be born decent looking with a decent body. I mean, I do what I can, but most of it was genetics. Yeah, I didn't destroy it with behaviors, but you can't. No trainer, diet, nutrition, surgery would have made chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? If it had been. So bleep all these words. Forgive me for the sailor's mouth. I don't know what happened this morning.
Hell yeah. No.
Okay, thank you. No, my parents put me through college mostly. I paid some of it. They paid quite a bit of it. That was luck that I was born to them. The IQ, I went to gifted schools and I'm in Mensa, which is super douchey, but yes, I am. That was mostly genetic. That this thing processes quickly, for better or worse. It's not always a good processing, but it's quick. Sure. Annoying, but that's genetics largely, and fostering. When my parents sent me to good schools, my mother took her vitamins when she was pregnant with me. All of that is luck that I didn't design. So no, I am utterly not self-made. People were nice to me when I was first modeling in LA. A woman who's now a matchmaker in New York and highly successful, she helped find me clients, and I don't know why she was that nice to me. Mm-hmm. I never been able to repay her for those favors. I don't know. So people have helped me, been kind to me. In 2017, I got in a fight with a dog catcher and did something real dumb and then ended up in a lawsuit. It's fine. I won. It all ended up okay.
There are dog catchers now? I had no idea they still existed.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I lived on the beach and I yelled at a dog catcher. I don't advise doing that because it turns out dog catchers are law enforcement. I didn't know that at the time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I thought they were like lifeguards or something. Yeah,
so
me too. I made a very dumb decision, and it caused me some problems for a year or so. it all worked out, but I had to beg for help from people who knew and loved me, to get it all resolved because of my stupidity. And if they hadn't helped, so I've been shocked again and again at the kindness of people. I had a stalker in 2010 that I had to put him in prison. And the Phoenix police, the major offenders unit, saved my life. I'd be dead now without them. Because this person that I had never met that was obsessed with me online wanted to kill me. That happens when you put your half naked butt on the internet. So yes, time and time again. Yeah, I get up in the morning, I work hard, I show up, I honor my commitments. I don't hurt people. If I don't like somebody, I just get them out of my life. I try to do the right thing, but time and time again, I've been shocked at the generous nature of people in every way. So no, I am not self-made.
Okay. Well, by the way, casually slipping in and Mensa aces. You just slipping in there like I was gonna miss it. Like, wait a minute, like the Mensa? That's dope.
Yeah. It just means you're good at like puzzles. It doesn't get you anything.
Hell yeah, puzzles. I like puzzles. I can't win at puzzles, but I like them.
I mean, you're obviously, you're brilliant too. I mean, I have no skill at writing or comedy. The comedy, the twist of seeing something other people don't see and looking at the world through the lens of humor. I think comedians are some of the most genius people on planet Earth. They really are.
But we can't fuck with puzzles. I mean, they're pretty hard, but thank you.
What's that? At the meetings, all they do is just fight about nonsense. So
wait, there's meetings?
Yes.
I thought you just got the letters and you get to brag about it at parties. There actually are get-togethers with other members of
all over. There's SIGs. There are special interest groups of all different kinds and all over the world, and you can meet. There's dating for Mensa people. There's classified ads, Mensa people who want other Mensans to Mensans. Yes, this is the word. I'm sorry.
I've opened up a Pandora's box here.
Everyone has tuned out now, right?
No, I just, you know what it was? You fly those planes, there'll be those Mensa puzzles. You're like, well, who the heck is doing this? But I didn't know it was a whole big thriving community of people who can't date, who are really, really smart. That's pretty cool.
I mean, they struggle because being top 2% or what is it, 2 standard deviations away from the norm, which is 100 IQ, and IQ. There's a lot of problems with that measurement. Sure. It's culturally biased. They're working on making it less so and making some progress, but it's not a perfect measurement of intelligence at all. But for whatever it is, you're supposed to be 98th percentile on some accepted IQ tests, and there's a lot of them. I got in based on my GRE scores.
I remember those.
Those were one of the accepted tests. There's lots of others that can get you in. But having a high IQ is by definition, you are at the end of the bell curve. You are by definition a weirdo. And I certainly am. And what that can do is make it difficult to deal with normal people. So I know a lot of CEOs and politicians, it's better if they are not quite as high IQ. They need to be smart, but 120 is better than 140 or 150 because you're kind of less of a weirdo, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so I piss people off all the time. I get called arrogant. I'm not arrogant. I don't think I'm better than anybody. In fact, I'm pretty insecure. But the way that I speak sometimes is very off-putting to people. And I don't mean for it to be. But so things like that can happen when you're a Mensa type of person, is that it can irritate other people a lot.
No, I'm with you. I've been fortunate enough to be in situations where I would have the highest IQ in the room and also the lowest IQ in the room. I'm 139 just for reference. So I get it. Sometimes it's like trying to tell kindergartners an advanced direction, not to judge anybody, but you're like, oh wait, I have to rephrase in my head what I'm trying to say so everyone understands what I'm trying to mean. But that sounds so arrogant coming from the way I'm saying it. But I get it.
You have this spectacular mind. I've watched a lot of your stuff, read some.
Thank you.
You are what you are, and the world needs all of us, right? The world needs athletes and nurturers, and it needs nerds. And it's great to be the way you are. And the wonderful thing about the technology now is you can find your tribe, right? You can.
True.
But yeah, some people don't like it. I don't know if it's envy or they're just it's exhausting to keep up.
Right.
Sometimes when I talk to people, I see their face and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing you out.
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole time I'm talking to you, I'm like, where is the Mensa barbecue? I need to know.
I will send you some LA Mensa barbecues. I mean, you can I
This
mean,
made my day.
time's better spent elsewhere, sir. But sure, if that's what you want to do.
Right, just awkward people hanging in the corners, arguing how to cook meat the best way. Okay, so
For sure.
so so a new episode radio, we ask our guests some department questions. Not so much a lightning round, but just some light questions to think about you as a person. Down the play.
Yes, let's do it.
Right. Do you believe in days off? And if so, how do you celebrate them?
That's a good question. Days off. I'd love them. I haven't done one in a long time, but I've done periods of like half days off. I think if I disappeared for a whole day, people would think I died. So there's never been a day, but I'll do several hours. I'll go walk my dog all over Manhattan and not bring my phone for hours. And those I celebrate by getting away from technology, because between the tech neck, the phone, and weirdos online that have good or bad things to say to you, I feel physically bad if I'm online too much. So my favorite way of celebrating time off, wish it was a whole day, but it usually isn't an entire day, is to get away from technology. Getting in nature helps me a lot too, even if that's just a park. But road tripping, California is the best place in the world for road tripping. Driving, I just did that a month ago. I drove up 395, the Eastern Sierras.
Yeah.
That is very therapeutic, to remind yourself how small you are, to see God's majesty or the ether's majesty in nature. So yeah, nature and away from tech.
Yeah, I got a buddy that lives out there. It was always like, I'm in like a different movie set. You're like, where are we going? This is not Brooklyn. This isn't LA.
You love it though? Do you like it or not?
I'm a city guy, so I like just send me a picture and I'll got the same effect.
That's fair.
but I'm all for having beers in the woods. So it was like a different locale. So it was a different kind of deal.
Well, and Mother Nature, if you go too far away from civilization that keeps us alive and safe, she will kill you.
Yeah.
It's like you get a roach in your house and you're like, oh, you picked the wrong place, sir. Now you're going to die.
Wow. That's actually a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you go up, Mount Whitney by yourself with not the right equipment, it's going to be the last thing you do. Right.
See, that's when I die, I don't want people to be like, we told him not to go. And that's how he died. I want to be like, he's old.
Yeah. There he went, just going out in the alley with no water, and that was the end of you.
Exactly. The desert, we told him not to go.
Well, the best is like a remote place with a very nice hotel. There's a place in Utah called the Amangiri, and you get to cosplay like you're out in the middle of nowhere, because you are, but honestly, you're at like a 5-star hotel with like a wait staff. So
thing, I love it.
That's the way.
That's a power hack right there.
I mean, if I could afford it, I would spend the rest of my life there.
What is your favorite junk food if you partake?
Oh, Cheez-Its.
Oh, wow. Like just the regular.
No, extra juicy.
Wow. Okay, great. I thought that was like a food that you
Target, like it's bigger.
Yeah.
What did I say about being classy? This has just destroyed all that.
But no. I mean, I was throwing.
It's like the family size. It's not family size. It's me sized.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. I didn't think that Cheez-Its were as popular as they were on the show, so I'm asking that question. But it makes an appearance. I'm always like, really?
Solid. I like your other guess. Well, I know. Right. So are Doritos on the list now from your recent?
Actually, no. You would think so. I think of junk food, I think of Doritos, but Cheez-It seems to be far and away.
I mean, I'm more of a savory than a sweet, and cheese is kryptonite for me. Any cheese, really.
The fancy stuff too?
If I can. Yeah, there's one called Mimolette. It's a French cheddar. It's very fluorescent orange. The outside looks like a cantaloupe. You can find it at fancy cheesemongers. It's idiotically expensive, and it gets you right here. It's real sour and like. Well,
anyone that calls himself the cheesemonger is going to charge you top dollar. Like I've earned that title.
I mean, I hope he's good. But dude, I mean, anything but not Velveeta. That's like not even cheese that you can light it on fire.
Cheese product, yeah.
I mean, I'm not above like a little Baby Bell. I'll eat any of it.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, what do you call Bougetto? I'm like a little camembert. That's as far as I'll go.
Bougetto? I've never heard this term. It's
I mean, like it's elevated for my family, but the rest of people are like, that's it. That's all you're going is fancy brie.
What's your junk food?
My junk food is burgers. Like I'm like a burger connoisseur. Bread pudding too. Like if it's a bread pudding, I'm like a total snob when it comes to that stuff. But
the fact that you live near Father's office incenses me.
See, but they don't do ketchup. I'm like, that's un-American.
With little onions. You don't like it?
So there's a restaurant right next to it now. I forgot what it used to be called Dijonais, but now it's something else. And they sell ketchup to take to father's office because the guy doesn't offer ketchup. And that's a hard line.
That's weird that they don't offer those little French fries that are like teeny. They're so good.
They're good. It tastes great, but it needs
I
ketchup.
mean, in COVID, I had that like in my car because you couldn't go. Like, it's the best place.
Oh yeah, I was definitely. I run by there sometimes because I live on the other side of Venice. I'm Venice and Overland, so I would like go out there and jog by and be like ketchup.
It's so beautiful where you live. I miss it. I'm jealous.
Yeah, walking by Sony. You know what's funny? Because back when this isn't the part of this story, but Queen Latifah had a daytime talk show.
Yeah.
Called the Queen Latifah Show. And back then it was really hard for me to find work. I couldn't find work to save my life. And I was as a comedian, as a writer, and I would have breakfast at Tiffany's. I would have tea with the Queen in the morning and just sit with Queen Latifah and be like, yo, Miss Owens, what's going on in my career? Help me out. And I miss those days. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you make your own success sometimes when it doesn't. And that town, I mean, to succeed in entertainment in LA, I can't believe anybody even tries. It's terrifying. Like, I never had great success, moderate at best, but the talent and the ambition and the beauty in that town, my God.
Yeah, it definitely
it's great and also horrifying.
Absolutely. Ran today. Neighborhood's changed. Do you have anything left on your travel bucket list? And if so, where?
Yeah, Antarctica. I want to see the little penguins. You have to go on an ice cutter across Drake's Passage, and apparently you vomit for 2 days. But it's very rough. But then you get there and go in these Zodiac rides, and you see. I just want to see that the South Pole and all that. I still haven't done like what's the thermal baths in the other end? Is it Iceland? Greenland? I'm gonna mix up which one it is, but it's famous. They're like
you're telling me.
I'd like to see Mumbai. I've been to Delhi, but I haven't been to Mumbai. I've never been to Vietnam. I've done Thailand but haven't done Vietnam or Singapore or Bali or Fiji.
Wait, hold on. Just 20 minutes ago, you're like, oh, Miami, way too humid. And you want to go to Vietnam, Bali, and India?
No, I'm going to one of the Amans, and there's going to be air conditioning, and I'm going to scuba dive. Like, I'm not going to be out there in the elements unless I want to be.
Yeah, wait a minute.
No, I mean, that's the problem is when I like to travel, I like to travel nicely. And so I can't do as much as I'd like to because I could spend some money on travel, unfortunately.
That's the best way to do it, though. Yeah, why not?
Like a nice hotel. Oh, I love it so much.
We talk about the aging thing. That was it for me, the travel thing, because I was always somebody who was like, someday I'm going to save up, someday I'm going to save up. But I'm approaching 40 myself, I think. About a month. I'm a month away from 39, which isn't old or young. It's like, it's there. But I realized that I need my creature comforts. I need my hotel to be at least 3.5 stars. I need this kind of food. I need a hot meal. You know what I mean? So I go, okay, that's the decline I have to worry about. Because I'm sitting waiting for someday. I can't be 60 years old and do hostels and eat a cracker and be fine. Right? Like, but no, I deserve.
Yeah. And yeah, if the hotel has no robe, I don't like it as much. It's fine.
See, no one understands the hotel vacation robe. That is a whole different experience.
It's the best.
Jessica.
Like, yeah, I mean, not to be too much of a snob. And of course, you know, I think my sister backpacked around Europe and loved it. And it's just not, that doesn't interest me. So I'd like if I could check off every Aman hotel on planet Earth, that would satisfy me. But that will never be possible. I'm not rich enough.
Yeah. Well, how many locations are they?
I don't know now. Look on their website. They've got a lot now. There's only one in New York, but yeah, I'd like to scuba dive some of the places I haven't been. I've done a lot of diving, Tahiti and the Caribbean, but I'd like to dive the Red Sea and Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. I'd like to see Moscow. I've been to St. Petersburg, but not Moscow.
Wow.
More of Turkey. I've been to Antalya, but never Istanbul. So yeah, there's a big wide world. Oh, African safari. I've never done that. I think Tanzania and some of the other, Kenya is a good one. Tanzania is one of the best, but I don't want to see anything. I would never hunt, but certainly just a photographic safari.
Sure. I mean that's what most people do. I'll go for the coffee personally, but most people do
I
the
mean,
stuff, the far,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. I haven't done
Caffeine
Chile
makes
or Peru. I've done Argentina, Brazil, and Ecuador, but not Colombia, not Venezuela. So, yeah, I mean, there's a big, wide world. There's lots of bucket list stuff left.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, any recommendations for anyone who's like, hey, here's a country that doesn't get the shine, you should probably check out. Usually
Well,
people say Croatia in this case, but is there a
yeah,
country for you that really?
right now, like everybody, the whole South of France crew, and like Nice and Saint Tropez, and all got very overplayed and over snobby. But everybody's
Mm.
Dubrovnik now.
Oh, wow.
I haven't personally yet, but I've heard great things. But it depends what you like. Like if you're a city person, then sure, Hong Kong is breathless, and Singapore is kind of a 2-day place. But the night F1 race, Formula One race, is incredible in Singapore. The hotels are spectacular. Dubai, I think it's like a 2-day place. I've been there twice. It's fun. It looks just like Vegas.
Sure.
But it's fun. But if it depends what you like,
But what was for you? What was a place that you had, not let's say low expectations, like, oh, this would be fun, and it went, whoa, it should be on everyone's list a little bit higher.
For skiing, Zermatt, because it's the Matterhorn and it's adorable. You park at this little town called Tash, and you take the train up, like this funicular thing up, and then this town, Zermatt, there are no cars. There's just, horse-driven sleighs, and it's a ski town of not very big, maybe 10 streets by 10 streets, and there's nightclubs and hotels and restaurants, and then you ski this massive resort, which is on the border of Switzerland and Italy. So one half is Zermatt and one half is Cervinia, Italy, and it's fantastic. It's cuter than you could imagine. For scuba diving, I think Bonaire, the Dutch Caribbean island of Bonaire, is spectacular. Still relatively unspoiled, and these resorts will just give you a truck and a scuba dive tank, and you can just park on the side of the road and jump in and dive. And I saw bioluminescent plankton at night there. Ton of other spectacular stuff underwater because the water is still very pristine. They take very good care of it. It's a Dutch Caribbean island. I think, Thailand's become more popular, but Koh Samui is spectacular and still kind of sort of affordable, less so, but
for sure. Bonaire gets kind of lost in the shuffle between Curacao and Aruba, so that's definitely one people should give it a shot.
If you're a diver, for sure. But I think Ecuador is spectacular. It's again getting more expensive than it used to be, but they've kind of channeled like a New Zealand ecotourism vibe of like the zip lines and the water rafting and there's a place called Baños, which is a thermal bath. It's these cliffs with thermal baths, and it's at the mouth of the Amazon jungle.
Whoa.
And it's part of Ecuador, and it's the most adorable little, it's hardly a city, it's more of a town. It's called Baños Baths, and it's beautiful, and people don't really go there, so it's I mean it's a wide world, right? It's a
wide world to go visit. And lastly, we've talked about the many different parts of your multi-hyphenate thing. If you're at a party and someone's like, hey, so what do you do? How do you wrap that up into something succinct? Do you even do that?
Well, if I don't like them, I'm gonna lie.
Fair. Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell them I just got out of prison yesterday or something.
Hardcore justice.
Or if I want them to leave me alone, I'm going to tell them that I sell insurance, and I'd like to discuss their coverage.
Ooh, yeah, that's repellent, actually.
Yeah. I don't. It's true. It's a very good question because I don't tell strangers on the street that I'm model. It also seems weird when I'm like walking my dog with my hair in a bun and no makeup. You don't look like a model. I also think it makes people race to judgment about you. It makes people think you're not intelligent. It makes people think you're only care about your image just because I use that a bit for my job. So I don't lead with it. But I can tell them I'm a flight instructor. It's true. I can tell them I have rental properties. It's true. I can tell them my ex-boyfriend was very wealthy. That's true. So people, I mean, they don't usually ask that when you're old. Oh
no.
People ask in their 20s because everybody's kind of in that working part of their life. So
sure.
One of many nice things about getting a little older is that they calm down about all the career stuff.
Do you consider yourself old? I know you said older, but do you consider yourself old?
I joke. I mean, no, I'm in my mid 40s. It depends where. In politics, I would be a baby.
True.
In West Palm Beach, I'd be an infant. In Manhattan,
Deep
I
cut.
don't know what the median age is, in Manhattan, but it feels young here because there's so many career kids. And by kid, I mean somebody who just got out of college. So I do sometimes, like in the gym, I feel older than the average here because New York's kind of,
Right.
at least
People
this
think-
part of New York. If I lived in the Upper East Side, I'd probably feel younger, but I don't live up there where the older people are.
Yeah. Totally get that part. Yeah, it's either like you're super young or super old, and in the middle you kind of move away to Jersey or something.
Yeah, no, I'm officially middle-aged. I don't love the term, but that's what I am. So yeah, I'm gonna tell them something based on what I think their deal is and why they want to know. So
fair enough. I think a lot of multi-hyphenates have that struggle, and I remember when I was doing the writing, the comedy, the master of ceremonies work, and also I was a wedding DJ at the time. I still am. But I had a day job and I worked at a test and measurement equipment rental company. I would just say that, and people would be bored. And my girlfriend would be like, the ex-girlfriend at the time, like, come on, say the other stuff. I'm like, no, I help rent and sell test and measure. You want an oscilloscope, bro? And it was like the worst thing they ever heard. So I always ask people to do.
My college boyfriend was an ER doctor, and he hated telling people what he did because they would immediately start asking for free medical advice. And sometimes it got weird. They'd be like, hey, I got this rash on my, you'd be like, dude.
Yeah.
And so he would lie. He'd tell him he dumped sump pumps and, septic tanks. And he did not enjoy telling people that he was an ER doc because there would always be the ask.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the hyphenators, it's a little more normal in Los Angeles than it is out here. We don't have as much of it. And I kind of miss that culture of creatives in LA who cobble together their income and make their creativity. They monetize their creativity to the degree they can. I love that. It's such a dreamer thing to do. And it's so California to let people live their dreams and see if they can pay their rent that way.
Wow.
I think it's lovely.
Sublime.
More people should. I've met a lot of older people who really wish they had chased their dreams and not just done what society told them they should do.
Absolutely. I am the only creative in my family. All my family are left-brained, and I think that was the black sheep for doing that. But sometimes I say it was the right decision, but then rents do.
This is So right, the traditional path is maybe safer, but I haven't known you for 30 years, but what I do know of you is you're far too smart to be pigeonholed like that. I think you'd be miserable, wouldn't you?
I was miserable. Yeah. I worked in those jobs because they had to make the ends meet because that's what you're told, right? There's some backgrounds, women, the minorities, immigrants, hey, get a good job. And so I did that and it sucked. And you got to feel out what the path chooses you. And for me, it was entertainment, and it's been a winding road, but so far so good.
Well, and you're clearly cut out for that. I know. My father's an Eastern European Jew. He wasn't religious, but ethnically he's an Eastern European Jew. And yeah, there's only engineer, lawyer, doctor. So I didn't become any of those, and I also didn't marry one. So utter failure in the eyes of the Eastern European Jewish family, right?
Right. But even if you're like, hey, look where I'm living, I'm good. There's no.
I became a scientist. I hated it, and I wasn't that good at it. So, we all have one precious life, and I think you have to learn to have the bravery to live for yourself. And you find, like, most people are worried about themselves, even parents who want you to do something. Yeah, they want the best for you, but a lot of times they're worried about their own reputation among their parent friends.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I love my parents, but we don't exist for our parents' egos. That's not fair. You have one precious life. Of course, you don't want to shame your parents. Of course not. But I think you have the right to live your truth in your life, not someone else's, not your spouse's, not your friends, and yeah, not even your family's truth. And that takes some guts, but I think there's an old saying that is true. You'll worry less about what other people think of you when you realize they don't.
Wow.
Well, they're usually thinking about themselves. So go ahead and do what you want as long as you're not hurting people.
Right.
Because the patchwork of everybody doing what they want makes for some pretty cool stuff, right? It's
absolutely.
It's how it should be, I think. I don't know.
I'm here astonished. That was the mic drop. I mean, wow. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being on the show. I know we went a little over, but fantastic conversations, learning more about you and what you are doing. But look, as we record this, top half of 2024 is done. What are people looking forward to and what you're looking forward to do yourself in the next half and in the year beyond?
Yeah, this year, just keep in touch with me. My socials are almost all Amy Taylor NYC on the Twitter and the Instagram and the YouTube and the Snapchat and all the whatevers. So, I'll be in and on covers and interviews and magazines. Just, keep in touch and you'll see it when I post it if you care.
The biggest flex. Check me out on social and Google it, sucker. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And just everybody out there, keep being creative too. It makes the world beautiful. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.